Hello, and welcome to Speaking of Supply Chain, where we explore trends, current events, and innovations impacting the logistics and supply chain industries. I'm your host, Ellen Wood. It is that time of year again, and by that, I mean it's the beginning of the year, and we are planning out what we're going to be doing throughout the year, and that includes trade shows and conferences. So we're going to do a rundown of the logistics and supply chain trade shows and conferences that have come across my desk in some way, shape, or form that you may be interested in, whether to attend, maybe to exhibit, maybe you're going to be looking for some solutions this year. But we've got a list of almost 30 this year that I'm going to go through very quickly. So even though it is just me today, sorry, no guests, I'm still going to do our getting to know you little segment that is exclusive to our video subscribers. Although, because it is just me, I will say, let's go ahead and have this be part of our audio version as well. So audio listeners out there, if this is new to you, if it's something that you like, keep in mind, we do a getting to know you section, an icebreaker with all of our guests that is usually only available on our video content on YouTube. So if this is something you like, be sure to go there and check it out. So I asked one of our listeners today if they had a question for me to get to know me a little bit better. And the question was, what is the best professional development book you've ever read? So the best one that I have read that was really impactful for me is a book that came out almost 30 years ago now. It's been a while. It is called Gung Ho. And if you've read this book, you know exactly what I'm talking about when I say that this is just a really lighthearted and fun book that gets to some very, very deep perspectives and feelings about the way we approach our professional lives, and getting excited and ready for the work that we have to do. The book is by Ken Blanchard and Sheldon Bowles. I'm looking at it on Amazon right now. And I remember one of the things that really stood out to me, and I think about it very frequently. So this book goes through three different sections. There's the spirit of the squirrel, the way of the beaver, and the gift of the goose. And by using animals and their different mannerisms, it kind of explains how we should approach different aspects of our work. And I remember one of the excerpts from the book talks about, you know, this person was talking with someone and trying to coach her professionally, and asked what kind of work they had done before. And they said, oh, I only worked in food service, doing dishes as a dishwasher in college, at the food hall. And the person interviewing them and trying to coach and guide them said, why do you say only? That's a very important job. If you didn't show up to work that day, there might not have been enough clean dishes for everyone. If you didn't do a good job at your job every day, they would not have had clean and sanitized dishes. And so you helped make sure that everyone had a chance to eat. You made sure they were able to do it safely. And you should not look down on your job just because you consider it to be menial or blue collar or whatever connotation that individual had, that they were looking at their profession or this particular position with some sort of disdain. Every position has a value and it has a need. So that really stuck with me through a lot of times where I was doing something that I felt may have been beneath my capabilities, to make sure that I was bringing my best to that job every day, even if it wasn't my dream job. But also in jobs that I really love, when you get to the hard parts, just keeping in mind that there is value to it. There is something important to it. And it wouldn't exist if there wasn't. So it's a great book. I highly recommend it if you haven't read it. It's a quick read. It's not a huge lift. So that is one that I would recommend. That's the best professional development book I've ever read. And I read it over 25 years ago. So that was a lot of fun. All right. Now that we are officially in 2024, Happy New Year, everyone. Let's take a look at some of these events. And I normally use paper notes as I go through our podcast to keep myself on track. But today, because there are so many shows to go through, I've got it on my other monitor. So I apologize to our video listeners or viewers if you see me going back and forth between the screen and the camera. So when it comes to trade shows, there's one coming up very quickly. And that is the same as the first one we talked about last year. That is Manifest, the future of supply chain and logistics. Manifest Vegas. So this is taking place in Las Vegas, and that is February 5th through the 7th. And it's a great trade show for the future focused and really IT areas. So all of the digital capabilities, this is their place to shine. This show has grown significantly since last year. I know they've added an extra hall just for all the exhibitors. There's over 4,000 attendees. There are over 1,000 startups and investors at this, 1,500 shippers, 250 speakers at this event, and over 50 companies represented. So it's going to be a fantastic show. They are geared toward industry executives, entrepreneurs, and those investors who want to come and invest in this new technology and these new innovations in supply chain technology and automation. So if that sounds like a show for you, by all means, book your plane ticket fast. It's at Caesars Forum. I know they still have some rooms available, but Miebach will be there. If you would like to see us, we will be at Manifest. By the way, I do want to pause for a moment in this list of shows. All of these shows are going to be available through a link that is in the description of the podcast, wherever you're listening to it. There's a link that will get you to where I have links to each and every single one of these shows if you would like to go register for them. But also if there are discounts available, discount registration, early bird things, discounts that are available, or if you need any additional information or want to see who those exhibitors are. I'll mention if Miebach is exhibiting at these, if I know it, and others we may be exhibiting later. I haven't made all the decisions for this year. All right, the next one is the Retail Industry Leaders Association, RILA Link, and this is their supply chain conference. Now, this conference is a little bit different in that this is for the industry leaders for the Retail Association. So you have to be a member of the Retail Leaders Association in order to attend. If you are a supply chain person, you can't just attend. Sorry, you have to exhibit. But for all of our listeners who may just be industry professionals in the retail industry, this is a great conference. There is a whole lot that takes place. So this conference is at the end of February, the 25th through the 28th. It's in Dallas, I believe it's at the Gaylord this year. And there are some great speakers that are going to be there. We've got some speakers from Nordstrom, from IKEA, from Neiman Marcus and Walmart. And there's over 2,000 supply chain leaders that are going to be there in the retail sector. So that's not even just supply chain, that's retail supply chain, very, very specific. 100 speakers, 50 breakout sessions, and over 350 solution providers in the expo hall. So some great information there at that conference. And I know that their steering committee works very, very hard to make sure that all of the content that they have for their various tracks for all of the sessions is super honed into what is currently affecting the retail industry. I know we've talked on a couple other episodes about what's going on in terms of e-commerce, in terms of returns management, sustainability, all of these issues that retailers have to deal with in order to supply their own customers. So again, a great conference. The big one, or I should say the two big ones. The next two are big. Modex. Modex is taking place in Atlanta. This is the counterpart to ProMat, which took place last year, put on by MHI. And Modex is going to be March 11th through the 14th, and that's at the Georgia World Congress Center in Atlanta. This is the largest supply chain conference in North America. It is huge. I love going there every year. It is just the quintessential huge trade show. But there's also so many educational sessions. There are over, there's so much information on this website. I can't even. There's some great keynotes taking place. The one that I am looking forward to the most is honestly the keynote from Jeremy Renner. I'm excited to go see that one. But there are some again, over 150 expert-led seminars. There's, show floor speeches. There's, of course, all of the vendors that you could possibly hope to connect with exhibiting at this particular event. Miebach is also exhibiting at this event. But the great thing about this particular event is there is no cost to attend. So this is free to attend, and the registration link, again, will be in the description. The next one, so this is taking us over across the pond to Logimat. And this is one of the larger logistics exhibitions in Europe. It is taking place March 19th through 21st at the Stuttgart Trade Fair Center. Miebach will also be participating there. Our European contingent will be in force at that show. But again, this is intralogistic solutions and process management. All of the live demonstrations, all of the educational sessions, and again, meeting with all of these vendors. So these are the two biggest events in North America and Europe taking place this year. You can't miss these. These are the biggest ones to go to. That's where you're going to get the most bang for your travel buck by visiting the place where all the people are at the same time. All right, moving into April. All right, I have to translate this page because this is in Spanish. This is the Logistics World Summit and Expo, and it is taking place April 10th and 11th in Mexico City. Miebach will be at this particular show too. We do have an educational session, but this is the largest logistics expo in Central and I think Southern America as well, if memory serves. Okay. Mexico and Central America. That particular page just loaded in the slider on the website. They've got over 32,000 square meters of exhibition space. So this is an absolutely massive show, and over 15 countries participating, over 550 exhibitors. This is another one of those big shows. So if you are a listener from our Central or South American area, this would be a great show for you to consider. I know I had to translate it to Spanish in order to read it, but I know that the content on the show floor is going to take place both in Spanish as well as in English. All right. Moving through April, we have the Quartz Network Supply Chain and Logistics Summit, April 21st through the 23rd at the Aria Resort and Casino in Las Vegas. Very cool hotel. I've stayed there myself. This one is, so I've talked about the Quartz Network with John Coyne, one of our guests a few episodes back, and that was talking about this digital platform. This Scope Supply Chain event is the in-person version of this. So it's curated meetings, meeting with exactly who it is that you're trying to find solutions from. They do a great job of essentially being a concierge and setting up all of the time that you're going to be there, or most of the time that you're going to be there, speaking with the people that you need to speak with. So it cuts out a lot of the noise. If you're like me, you like the noise and you like seeing all the hustle and bustle and the variety. But if you are really looking to hone in on finding the solution that you are looking for, this is one of the best events for it because it is so tailored to your precise needs. And there is a lengthy, I would say, registration process or intake process because you have to get specific about what it is that you're looking to achieve by attending this meeting. It's taking place in Las Vegas, as I said, at the end of April. So if this is something that you're interested in and really finding some of those solutions very quickly and cutting through the noise, you need to reach out to Scope fast. It sells out. The next one also in Las Vegas that we are going to talk about is Inspire 24. And this is put on by Coupa. And normally when people think of Coupa, they think of the procurement software. And that is absolutely a major part of the Inspire conference. But Coupa also has a large supply chain planning and design software following from when they acquired LlamaSoft. So there's a lot of supply chain planning, a lot of educational sessions. So this conference, it has an expo floor where exhibitors can come out and exhibit, but this is really a conference that is designed to help their users, so the platform users, to understand and get the best out of the Coupa products. So if you are a Coupa user, you definitely need to be attending Inspire. It is absolutely worthwhile. It is taking place again, at the Aria Resort in Las Vegas, April 22nd and 24th. So it looks like, it's going to overlap with Quartz. You might have to make a couple hard decisions there. Or since it's the same hotel, just go back and forth between the two floors. I don't know. That might work. All right. Next up, we have the IWLA Convention and Expo, and that is April 21st through the 23rd in Orlando. So separate area. You can't jump into this one accidentally from the others. If you've never attended an IWLA convention, now is the time, as it says. Unique opportunities and connections. So this is for warehousing. So this is the resource for warehousing and logistics. Their expo, I have not been. Honestly, I have not been to this particular one, but it is a fantastic event from all of the people that I have spoken with that have been to these particular events. If you are involved in warehousing, distribution center, operations, this is where you can go to really understand what is driving your industry right now and making the largest impacts into the work that you do day to day. There's going to be insights on best practices, labor. Labor is a huge issue for the warehousing industry right now. Transportation, dealing with all of the inbound and outbound. And then also, within those four walls, the automation that is going to make the difference to your operations. All right. Next, we are almost halfway through. We've got, at the end of April, from April 30th to May 1st, the American Supply Chain Summit. This is taking place in Dallas. This is put on by the Generis Group. They have some really exciting looking speakers at this event. I was looking at this earlier. So they've got the VP of Planning and Logistics from Kimberly-Clark. They've got I love this. I love that this is such a specific title. So the VP and head of procurement for ice cream from Unilever. That sounds like such a fun job. I want to go to this event just to listen to her and see what she has to say. Ice cream. That sounds like a fantastic job. And then, of course, there's also the VP of Operations for Transportation and Innovation at Walmart, another big one. So if you want to be there with all of the major players, so we're talking enterprise level supply chains. And these are the supply chains that are making the trends. They are the trend setters. And these are the ones that everyone else is going to have to follow at some point in time in the near future. So if you want to get in on what these trend setters are doing, what things are moving their needle, then you need to be at this particular show. Some of the featured attendees, we've got 3M, Adidas, Coca-Cola, Johnson & Johnson, Procter & Gamble, PepsiCo, Nestle, Campbell's, L'Oreal, Starbucks, Home Depot, and more. A whole lot of huge brands. So this is where you would go to be able to network with those particular individuals. All right, moving into May. We've got the Gartner Supply Chain Symposium in Orlando, Florida from May 6th through the 8th. The Gartner conferences are second to none. They are absolutely fantastic. Again, this is enterprise level supply chain leaders who are coming together for this conference to understand what impacts their industry and what trends are coming through and what they need to be doing or what trends they are setting for other industries or other industry players. So this It's fantastic for chief supply chain officers, heads of supply chain planning, sourcing and procurement, manufacturing. This is all of the network that you need to have. Some of the tracks at the Gartner conference include leadership, strategy and execution, planning, manufacturing, technology, sustainability, which is a huge topic going forward, industrial manufacturing, healthcare and life sciences. There's a lot going on there. And of course, retail and consumer packaged goods. The agenda is live now for that particular event. And I know that there is a discount code available for you in the link that is in the description for today's episode. So be sure to go there and get that if you would like to attend Gartner in May. All right, here is another one that I am not personally familiar with. I would love to go sometime, but it's a bucket list, definitely. So this is Logisim. It is in May 15th through the 16th. It's in Singapore. And this particular event is dealing with supply chain agility, sustainability, digitalization, and artificial intelligence. This sounds like a fantastically interesting conference. Again, I have not been there, but it looks like from the networking opportunities, some of the agenda things, that there are going to be a ton of insights that can be gleaned from this particular event. I'm looking through, and I apologize, I don't know any of these speakers, but I'm sure. Oh, here we go. The vice president at S&P Global Market Intelligence. So, this is really some high level executives that are going to be at this particular event. I'd love to go to Singapore and walk that show. That looks fun. Next up, May is busy. From the 22nd through the 23rd, we've got Supply Chain USA back on American soil. This is put on by Reuters Events. Again, this is one of these executive conferences. I guess the month of May is made for executive conferences. Unfortunately, you can't possibly attend all of them. So pick one that speaks to you and that you think might work for you. Maybe it's the location that decides which one you'll attend. But this, the Supply Chain USA is a fantastic event. Again, it's not one that I have been able to add to my agenda, but I've looked at it every year and thought, gosh, I need to be there. So as we're talking about risk and planning and integrated logistics, that's what their focus is going to be at this year's event. They've got some great speakers that are lined up for this year's event from Mars, from Dannon, Unilever, let's see who else, PepsiCo, Ulta Beauty. So L'Oreal, Bayer, General Mills, and more. There's so many speakers that are going to be at this particular event. There are going to be tons of C-level and director level attendees there for networking. So if that is your goal in terms of attending some of these conferences, this is a great networking event. You're going to come into contact with all types of supply chain leaders across so many industries, and so many brands that you're going to recognize immediately if you come to this website. But as we look at some of the breakdowns of this community, 30% of these attendees are involved with planning, 30% involved with sourcing and manufacturing, 30% with distribution and logistics, and 20% director. Okay, so we're looking at 65% of the attendees are director, vice president, or C-suite. That is a great networking opportunity if you are in that particular demographic. Moving on, the Warehousing Educational and Resource Council annual conference. This is also part of MHI. They are having their annual conference June 2nd through the 5th in Dallas, Texas. And this is one that I believe Miebach is going to be participating in. The decision hasn't been made yet. But the work see what I did there? No, the work that work is doing is really impactful for this particular segment of the industry. So when it comes to the facilities, the warehousing, the distribution centers. This is where the MHI group comes in and really supports that sector of their membership. Some of the extras that they have with this particular one, they do have facility tours. So this year's facility tour, if you attend the conference, you have the option of registering for the, again, optional facility tour. And this one, they don't have who it's going to be at. They just have the date. So the date's going to be in the middle of the conference. I wish they had who they were going to be. Last year they did. I forget who it was. But I love the idea of taking time away from the conference, from whether it's in a hotel room or an expo center, and that big windowless hall that we end up spending our day in, and actually going out to a local warehouse. Those tours are huge. They are such learning experiences. So anytime there's a conference that offers that type of add-on as part of the registration, I always try to sign up for that, because that's where you're really going to see. It's great to be on a sales floor. I'm in marketing. I get it. We want to, show our best foot, but when you are going into a facility and see it in action, that makes all the difference in the world. And it is absolutely huge. So if you are in the warehousing industry and are looking for an event sometime in the middle of the year, this is the one I would recommend. Immediately after that, if you can book the flight, the ASCM, so the Association for Supply Chain Management Connect 24 in Europe, hop over to Brussels and you'll be able to attend the ASCM Connect. So again, this is an educational resource, just like the work conference. This is educational based, a lot of ongoing education. Some of the tracks this year are stability, resilience, and agility. We're going to hear those words a lot today, I think. Talent, leadership, and transformation. That's one of the great things about these events that are put on by the educational research councils type things, is that they focus a lot on developing your internal resources, so your people, and making sure that your people are getting the ongoing education that is going to make the biggest impact in their professional development. Digital capabilities, technologies, and enablers. We're not going to get away from digital, sorry. And sustainability, circularity, and climate. Again, big topics on the agendas for this year. And that is in Brussels, in Belgium, June 4th through the 5th. All right, back to North America, the Canada Logistics Conference. This one is taking place this year in Halifax, in June 5th through the 7th. So get your frequent flyer miles, so you're going back and forth and back and forth. And this is a thought leadership and networking event, and early bird registration is already open. I know they are still soliciting exhibitors if this is something that you might be interested in participating as an exhibitor rather than just an attendee. When it comes to thought leadership, I'm scrolling through the website right now, and there are dozens of speakers. I see a lot of, C-suite individuals, not that many that I am familiar with, because I have a feeling that they tried to keep it mainly Canadians and Canadian organizations, which I'm less familiar with being in the US, but tons of sponsors and exhibitors. This looks like a fantastic event. Again, I have not participated in this one before, but I know that they are still accepting exhibitors if you would like to participate in that event as an exhibitor or a sponsor. All right. Again, we're just zigzagging between Europe and North America here in June. June 10th through the 12th in Barcelona, Spain, we have the Gartner Supply Chain Symposium for EMEA. So again, we spoke about the Gartner Supply Chain Symposium in North America. It is exactly the same content, perhaps a little bit skewed towards the issues that are facing Europe that are not present in the Americas. And this is an event that Miebach usually participates in. I believe we are this year. But again, talking to those heads of manufacturing, those supply chain executives about, the biggest things happening in those enterprise level supply chains. One of my favorite things about at least the US event, and I know that it is also a highlight of their other events, is their top 10 list or their top 25 list. Obviously, if you are a Gartner client, then you're familiar with their Magic Quadrants, with some of their reports that they have about the industry and about the technologies and the services and, a lot of the things that are available out there. The top 25 list for supply chain is the highlight for the attendees and the exhibitors alike. There's a big dinner and they go through the top 25 list, and it's such an exciting thing to see these supply chains and hear about what they've done to rank in the top 25 of all the supply chains in the world, or all the supply chains in that particular area, and really just come together and celebrate the achievements of these particular companies and see how it is that they are moving the supply chain industry forward. All right, we talked about the ASCM in Brussels. Their US event, so their North American event, takes place in September. We skipped over July and August. Nothing is happening in July and August. I guess that's when we're supposed to take our vacations. Noted. All right. In September, the 9th through the 11th in Austin, Texas, is the ASCM Connect for North America. Again, this is educational based. So the Association for Supply Chain Management, there's going to be a lot on, sorry, I have to scroll up because they have the two events on the same page, but the information about the show is only on the one section. So stability, resilience, and agility, talent, leadership, and transformation, digital capabilities, technologies, and enablers, and then the sustainability, circularity, and climate. So some great areas for your team to learn more about the industry and the trends and issues that are impacting it. From September 8th through the 11th, we have from Richmond Events, the Supply Chain Logistics and Supply Chain Forum. And this is taking place in Scottsdale, Arizona. Again, that was September 8th and the 10th. So at the same time as ASCM, I think you have to choose one or the other. This one is more geared towards those leadership, those C-suite, those higher level executives. And this is a platform. It really is not a trade show. This is a conference. So this is learning. This is educational sessions. This is keynotes. And this is networking. This is a lot of networking. It's a blend of conference sessions and pre-scheduled meetings. So again, similar to the Scope event that we talked about earlier, where they curate meetings with some of the exhibitors or suppliers. It's designed to help you find solutions, whether through an educational session, through a conference session, through a roundtable discussion, or through these curated meetings. I have not participated in one of these Richmond events, but I have heard from others who have that it is absolutely fantastic material and very topical and very well presented material. So if you are looking for a networking and educational event in September, because I know the first half of the year is very busy and we can't get to all of these events. So if you need to push one off towards the second half of the year, this would be a great one. Another one that we have September 16th through 18th, and this is the North American Supply Chain Executive Summit. And this is taking place in Phoenix. Apparently, September is a great month to be in Arizona. Who knew? All right, I'll bet the people in Arizona knew. So this, again, is one of these supply chain executive conferences and summits. So some of the things that are going to be on their agenda this year, we're talking about supply chain optimization. We're talking about globalizing distribution channels, risk management in a world of disruption. We've talked about that on this podcast before. Forecasting, supplier relationships, managing a dynamic workforce, talent acquisition, development and retention, new and emerging tools and technologies, and of course, sustainability. That's going to be a huge topic this year, I'm certain. So this is, they call it bringing together the who's who of industry experts. So again, this is another one of those executive conferences that if you fall into that demographic, this is one of those networking opportunities for you to get together with other peers in your industry and really talk back and forth and meet with those individuals whom maybe have some similar experiences or some great insights to share. All right, we're coming back to Gartner one more time. They are having their Gartner Supply Chain Planning Summit October 14th and 15th in London. This is one that I don't know if Miebach is participating in. We have not had the opportunity before, but we do have a location in London, so it's possible. But the supply chain planning is a little bit different than the symposium just because it's a smaller scale. That doesn't mean it is less impactful at all. This conference is still talking about all of the important things in the supply chain industry and for those executive leaders. So we're talking about demand, supply, and product portfolio planning. Say that 3 times fast. Planning strategies, sales and operation planning, and sales and operation execution, leveraging advanced technology and AI, and supply chain planning, talent, and culture. I'm seeing a lot more of the talent and personnel and labor focus in some of these shows where they're really trying to develop our teams that we already have existing because the labor constraints and the issues affecting the labor industry are so labor in our industry are such a topic, such a big topic and such a disruptive topic that we have to work on developing the teams that we have so we don't lose them and we don't have to replace them because replacing them is so difficult these days. So planning and developing the talent, but also it's interesting that they bring culture into this because that is becoming even more of an issue in this post-COVID world when work situations are often hybrid and culture is starting to, I wouldn't say fall to the wayside, but it's getting harder and harder to maintain an existing culture. It has to shift a little bit with the workforce that we have. But being able to develop and nurture a culture within your organization, that's getting to be a larger topic. It's not a top level topic yet, but it's eking up there. It's moving. All right, 3 more. We're down to the last 3. Pack Expo. If you have not heard of Pack Expo, they have multiple shows. I'm only going to talk about the international one right now, but I'm going to mention the others. So the International Pack Expo takes place November 3rd through the 6th in Chicago at McCormick Place. When looking at some of the information about this is a huge show. I believe when I looked at this earlier, it takes 4 different show floors at McCormick Place. If you're familiar with McCormick Place, it is a huge exhibition space. And this particular expo takes 4 of their show floors. So you have to go out and go on to another show floor just to get to them. It would take you all, is it 3 days, 4 days? All 3 days to see all of the things. And even then, I don't think you could have any meaningful conversations if you were just trying to go up and down every aisle and meet every exhibitor. But when it comes to, this particular, we've got the processing zone, the logistics pavilion, the containers and materials pavilion, the package printing pavilion, the healthcare packaging pavilion, the reusable packaging pavilion, and the confectionery pavilion. That sounds yummy. So in terms of this particular event, obviously it's all about packaging, and packaging is required for, consumer packaged goods, but even any other industry that is trying to package their products for distribution. And they have other shows. This is the international event. It's the largest of them. They have one in Las Vegas for the West Coast. They have one in Philadelphia for the East Coast. They have one in Mexico. They have one in the Southeast in Atlanta and one in Guadalajara, Mexico. So many to choose from. If you can't make the one in November, I understand. Plus, it's a lot to deal with. But if you can make it to the west, east, or southeast, those might be great events that are a little bit closer to you. They also are spread out in other areas of the calendar for this year. So Pack Expo, a great event. I don't believe that Miebach is exhibiting, but I know we are attending because it is such a fantastic event. From November 12th through the 14th in Rotterdam, we have Intermodal Europe. And so this particular one is new to my understanding this year. I've heard of it before, but I've never looked into it. So this particular event is for container shipping and intermodal transport. If transport is something that is on your agenda for dealing with or, researching this year, this is a fantastic event. I know I say that about all of these. I wouldn't talk about them if they weren't fantastic events. So this is Europe's leading event for the intermodal and container transport industry. It gets together all of that community and an industry leading event. They come together to learn, network, collaborate, and set the course for the future. So if transportation is part of your job title, especially international transportation or again, the intermodal transportation, this would be a great event for you to attend. It looks like they are going to have some fantastic exhibitors. The sessions look interesting. They're going to talk about cold chain. They're going to talk about technology, the containers themselves, and transportation, as well as tracking. So I highly recommend that if that is something that falls into your wheelhouse. All right. That is pretty much the end of supply chain conferences and trade shows. But I did want to mention one other, and this is going to be specifically for me. I'm talking about this because this applies to myself. And that is the Global Supply Chain Marketing Summit. So this is an event that kicked off its inaugural event last year. And it is taking place June 5th through the 7th, but it is specifically, this is not for just supply chain professionals. This is for a very specific sector of supply chain professionals. This is for supply chain marketing professionals. And this was part of my professional development last year. It's going to be part of my professional development this year. It is an amazing event. This is put on by Supply Chain Brain and in partnership with Manifest and CSCMP. And the reason this is such an amazing event is marketing within the supply chain industry is its own animal. And for any of our listeners out there that happen to wear a marketing hat, the same as I do, this is the event that you want to go to. This is obviously, we're planning all these other events. We're doing the exhibiting, we're doing all of the, the online planning and all of the other marketing strategies that we have for our companies. But when it comes to those strategies, what do we need to do to reach our audience? And this is geared specifically toward us and the needs that we have. So I wanted to make sure that I gave that a call out. I will be at this particular event this coming year. So if that's something that you are a marketing professional listening to this podcast in the supply chain industry, I hope to see you there. If you have any questions about it, please feel free to reach out to me and I will give you even more detail about this particular event. But if you're in the supply chain industry and you know who Ralph Henderson is, I'll give him a quick shout out. Hey, Ralph. He is the one who had the concept for this particular event, and he's done an amazing job of curating all of the speakers and all of the guests and the panels that are, helping to drive better marketing in our industry. All right, this is only a fraction of the supply chain and logistics conferences or expos. I know that there are so many more out there because I saw them as I was researching and trying to figure out which ones to talk about. And I couldn't possibly list all of them here. We would be here all day. If you have information about another one that you think I should have mentioned or should be mentioned next year, or you just want to tell our listener community about this event, reach out to me at podcast@miebach.com and I'll make a post on LinkedIn about it. If you have a suggestion for another topic that I should cover, again, reach out to me at podcast@miebach.com. We'd love to have any of you on the show. If you are interested in being a guest, or if you just have something that you want me to talk about, I will research it and I will get to it. As always, thank you for listening to Speaking of Supply Chain. If you enjoyed our show, please rate and review it on whatever podcast platform you prefer, Apple, Google, Spotify, or iHeartRadio. And be sure to tune in next time.